Welcome back to your daily escape from reality. Today we are going to be looking at yet another point and click build where we can only use one ability to rule them all, one ability to bind them, and in darkness, this time around, fry them. So if you missed any of the other builds, you can check them out here in the top right hand corner along with yours truly, all complete boss guide. So today's highlight is none other than Whirlwind. And the way we are going to be building this up is I am going to go through the core, the warfare, and the earth masteries. I'm going to be discussing the abilities that we use, the priority stats and gear, and we are going to fight through all of the bosses to showcase how well this works. Now, contrary to popular belief, this isn't based on 100%. Now, the activator for this build isn't going to be just plain fire damage. It is also going to be attack speed with the dodge. And I'm going to, you know what, let's just start out with the core mastery here. And let's discuss why dodge should be in your pocket when it comes down to a fire tornado. Well, first of all, what you want to do is celerity. All stacks, which is a 45% increased all speed for 1.5 seconds. This includes cast, yes, and attack speed, yes. Two things that we kind of love with this build, but it's more the attack speed actually than the cast speed. And none other than if you have space, you should take at least one additional cooldown charge, especially for boss fights. Now when it comes to clearing, you could use up to four here, but with 3 it already works. It just works, boys. But if you from here on out, if I would level up further, I would probably take the second cooldown charge just to have this ability on as much as possible. Now, if we move to barrier, this is pretty much a bit of sustain, a bit of just, oh shit, something happened, I need to survive moment. In which case, I took health regen per second and an ailment cleanse. Now, barrier for me is just important to have the ailment cleanse here. So if I stacked, I don't know, lots of poison on myself, lots of fire damage, something, even lightning, this is needed. Like you want to have at least this one, which is only gonna cost you 1 point to go into barrier. So that is really cool. Now, the hit of the party, the main thing that you want to unlock and then build up, first of all, is going to be none other than the warfare mastery. And I'm going to discuss first our active abilities and then our passives, which for actives is just this one. So Whirlwind here, we activate, of course, instead channel to spin. So we want the tornado to just spool up. Then we are going to go for the good old rage and ramp up. So ramp up is going to be more important than rage, but I mean, with time, if you could put more points into this, I would go for rage gain, but as you can see, we maxed out, so I prioritized ramp up instead of rage gain. And then with the passives, it is quite simple. So first of all, you want weapon damage with weapon attacks and attack speed. We want as much attack speed as possible. Okay, so we want this to spool up as much as possible with the rage. And then we are going to take critical chance and attack speed. These two are mandatory. Now, what you want to prioritize early levels is attack speed instead of crit chance, and then move into crit chance. But before you do that, you want to stop at somewhere around 6 and then go into rage, because you want the maximum rage amount when you spool, right, with your guy. And then you want rage overflow. So whenever you your rage overflows, you are going to heal yourself, and that is going to be a lot of the times, and that is going to help you minimize your reliability on your reliance, sorry, on a barrier. And then finally, what you want is spell rage. So this is going to increase spell damage and attack damage, two things that we actually need for this build to work out. And that's pretty much it. Now we are not doing projectile, we are not doing bleed, we are not doing a lot of these things. One minor mention is I was trying to make this work. I don't know why it doesn't. For me, I never see the 1 second buff for 10% increased damage and movement speed. So I don't know what activates Combat Rush. I mean, it says it's melee skill, and this is a melee skill, a melee attack actually. So I don't know. I don't know what activates this. This for me didn't work, but maybe if it worked for you, let me know how you activated it. I'm very curious. I'm curious by nature. I read your comments. If you have any suggestions, let me know. So finally, we're here at the Earth Mastery, which is pretty much enabling our Whirlwind, right? Our tornado to deal out as much damage as possible. So first of all, in the active abilities, you want to do Earth Enchantment. You want Fire Imbuement, so all weapon damage is converted to fire damage. This is it. This is where it goes. And that's why you want a lot of weapon attack damage and so on and so forth to scale up in the warfare tree, so that gets converted to this. So this is a scaler. And then what you want to do is max out Earth Enhancement. This is going to deal out 40% increased fire and physical damage. So it further scales your physical damage that gets converted into fire damage. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? And then next, what you're going to do, this is filler. You don't need Flame Volley. Flame Volley is very volatile. I guess pun intended, I don't know. But Flame Volley here is, it could scale, but I mean, it only helps with one target damage, which you can scale very easily with the other one, with Ring of Flame. So I took this just as a filler. You don't necessarily need it to make this scale and make this work. But whenever you have 3 points, why not take it, right? Because it only requires 3 points to get some of this going. So that was a good thing. Now, if you would probably want to actually scale this, you would probably want conservation, so that chance to not lose amplify on use. But at the same time, you would probably want to take also more orbit, so that you lose all your amplify much slower, which is tedious to make this work, and it only functions for like one target at a time, which is not, I mean, a fire tornado shouldn't focus anything. It should focus everything. And in that case, we took Ring of Flame, which you're going to see from a visual aspect, it is going to look pretty neat. Now, first of all, you want to take permanency. So, of course, this is the enabler. That's the first layer, nothing else. And then what you want to do is you want to actually take Blazing Heat. This deals up to 120% more damage to enemies closer to the center. So this is going to be important. What we want to do with bosses, keep them in our center of attention. You know, just like when you're on a date. I mean, let's not go there. So, Weakening Heat is going to be the second thing that you want to take. Now, of course, I looked at all of these, and Enhanced Amplify seems to be okay, but it requires more energy to generate Amplify, and it gets tedious, and that's not what we are here for. We are here for Weakening Heat. Imagine all of our fire damage that our main weapon with a bunch of attack speed and rage on it, you know, deals out. What do we want? Well, of course we want to lower the enemy's fire resistance, right? And this maxed out gets minus 24% fire resistance reduction. It's not only fire, but armor value and cold resistance. Now, of course, We already have the weapon imbuement for fire damage. And this is pretty much our enabler. This is what we want. We want enemies to get stacks of fire resistance reduction and everything else. But right now it's just fire. And then finally, let's move on into none other than the passives. What do we want? Well, do we want spell damage? I mean, yeah, for this one or this one. But actually what we want is fire damage and physical damage. So this is our enabler. We want more area. First of all, we want 10% increased fire and physical weapon damage and +4 attack speed, right? And then finally, 15% increased area damage. That is just, woo. This clears so fast. And then second, what you want to do is attack damage and spell damage. So again, this gets double scaling. And here we are going to take attack damage and critical hit chance. So these are two things that we actually want. And then now filler content. Now this is pretty much filler. You could take just flat fire damage, which is going to scale really well. Or you could just put it somewhere else if you want some sustain or anything. I mean, if you want to stay alive more, but if you know how to dodge and how to just get rid of enemy attacks, which I am heavily relying on. So whenever you see these builds, they aren't necessarily glass cannon, but it's more of like, just like in Dark Souls, you want to learn to dodge because that's more important than just face tank stuff. And that's the way I approach things here. Okay, that's the way I play. That's my play style. Now, of course, I already got a challenge from one of the guys that I should probably try and do a sword and shield and see how tanky I can get, and that's in the works. That's in the works, dude. All right, but the next challenge is going to most probably be an Unblessed run, where we make a build with only these things active. And that's actually in the works. We started the playthrough not so long ago. So if you like to watch me live, watch me doing these live and stuff like that, you can check out my live streams and my VODs on how I build things up for my character. As for the rest of the things, let's go into attributes and abilities. Attributes and gear stats, I meant. Now, what we do here is literally just stack might and some vigor. So I think I took a few stacks of vigor, but you want might. You want fire damage, you want strike and pierce damage, which is physical, which gets then transformed into more resolve. Okay? That's how things are. That's where things are, boys. Which, by the way, now that I think of, it also channels into, oh, and by the way, please just ignore my inventory. I was testing things out. So the thing is, what I was trying to go for is in terms of stats and gear is some health. So for sustain, if you cannot get regen, movement speed, critical chance. For damage dealing, you want crit chance, you want more fire damage, or actually any type of damage, because everything here is going to get to be converted into fire damage anyway. What you want to do is attack speed, movement speed, dodge cooldown is really nice. As you can see, we have a bracers of additional attack speed and additional fire damage, which is really nice to see. We also have more fire damage and crit chance, and then we have more fire damage, and then we have some regen, some energy regen, so to better sustain our attack. And then I think that's pretty much it for the gear, because you can only wear might stuff whenever you get this high. And with that said, I think we should probably turn to the boss fights. Now, these bosses are going to be 3 to 4 levels above my current level. I've been constantly trying out builds, stuff like that, and Long story short, the idea is that whenever we spool up, you will see that our amplify gets our ring of flame going. That is one thing that is going to be important to keep the stacks of a fire resistance reduction there. But also we want to stack rage. And whenever we, let's say, dodge, we actually improve our attack speed by 45%, which is going to stack even more DPS. So that's why we want this is the ultimate combo, right? It's one ability. We put everything, okay? Life said, and if you ever heard the term never put all your eggs into one basket. Now that's exactly what we did. And did they break? No, we actually made it in life. So let's start a first boss fight. This is going to be Hippokampos. For me, it was one of the hardest bosses to defeat before I figured him out. And like I said, I have a complete boss guide here somewhere in the top right hand corner. And we are going to do Pan and Dysepilogos in these orders. Now, if you wanted to skip any of these, I mean, feel free. But I think you should see how well this does, right? Let's start out. Yeah. Oh. All right, we started out quite nicely. Let's keep the stack going. Look at that. 15, 17. Ooh, stacks of what's it? And oh, he was almost dead there. Okay, he dead. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Like the video, please? If you did, let me know. Let me know what other one click to rule them all or one ability to rule them all stuff you found out. Or what would you like to see next? I would probably ask you that. We cannot loot anymore, and I'm not going to go back to yours truly. So let's go to Pan. I'm not going to sell anything. We're just gonna go to Pan real quick and do that boss too. If I don't mess up my dodges and we die. And in that case, we probably, maybe. Yep. Yeah, so it works quite well for clearing. I mean, look at that. We can just walk through the enemies. All right, let's reactivate Pan here. Hello, it's me. All right, so with Pan, what we want to do is we might not have all of the Ring of Flame amplifiers and the Rage up, because the boss likes to go back and forth and move left and right. So it might be a little bit tougher. Usually it's much easier with literally targets that just sit around and have attacks like Hippokampos and Dysepilogos. but yeah, let's do Pan. Okay. Oh my god. And he sits in his own fire. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay, he had enough. Good. Me too. Let's do this. Hey, he actually sits around. Whoa, that was close. All right, my guy's dead. Hey, that went much better than I expected. Even much better than I expected it. Ooh, 16% movement speed. But look at our stat. Not only do we get more movement speed with what we have currently, but we also get increased movement skill cooldown rate, which is really good for dodge. Like, look, 6 seconds. That's amazing. All right, let's go to Dysepilogos. Let's mow him down. Ooh. Okay, I have to quickly respawn him too. All right, let's pull up real quick. Nice. Oh my goodness, this went much faster than when I was playing around with stuff. I literally just respect. I'm gonna be honest. I literally just respect a bunch of points from here to here, and it actually worked with weakening heat. Just before the video, by the way. So that tells you that sometimes it is better to play around with things and find out what works for you. This is a build that worked for me. It is a very, very cool point and click fire tornado battle mage that we put together halfway through on stream. You can check out the entire playthrough there. But actually, towards this afternoon, I'm going to be live with yours truly, Unblessed the Forsaken, an unblessed run where we don't take any masteries. We have to pretty much live with what we get from, well, actually not the gods, but pretty much the RNGesus in terms of gear. And that's what we are going to be going from. Thank you so much for watching till now, dropping by, and let me know of your thoughts. Have a great afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Bye-bye.